Hello, everyone. It's me, Rachel Elizabeth. I just wanted to do a follow up to our first episode on the breath, where we had the charming and amazing Francesca Montanaro with us. I was so excited to see her and hear her talk about it. Um, we only had a 40-minute session in which we just really touched the tip of the iceberg with what is what is the specific inhale that is needed, right? The next level after this is going to be exhale. What do you do at exhale? um, and then I want to have a separate program talking about onset of phonation and then optimization of the instruments. So, as I mentioned in the first episode, we're just going to lay down the basics of the craft of the art, the craft of what we do. You could say the technique, the basics of the technique. I won't go into all of the proprietary points in there, because also it is a bespoke form, as you know, as much as the anatomy is the anatomy is the anatomy, regardless. Um, Everyone's application thereof and therein is definitely a bespoke project. So getting too far into those details, I don't think would be helpful in a series like this. But I wanted to spend more time with her. She is incredibly busy, and I just didn't want to wait too long to finish up this very first moment. But I promise I will have her back many times. So just to recapitulate what we talked about in the first episode of the craft of the art of the craft, and that first episode was about inhale specifically. Just to go over it again, it was in getting the spinal alignment, right? There has to be a certain way that the spine is aligned. There's its correct way, okay? There are no interpretations of that. All right. There is what the anatomy is at its best, at its most optimal, right, in that organic manner, and that is what we're looking for. All right, everyone's excited and dinging. I'm gonna just make that a little quieter. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm hearing you. Um, yes, and then additionally, after you have that spinal alignment as it needs to be, we will then have to craft what is the low breath. It is really specific. It's very specific. It's hard to capture again because everybody is coming to it from a different place with a different body shape. Additionally, and maybe more importantly, the way they understand proprioceptively what low breathing is. So I find, honestly, in my studio work, with all ages, doesn't matter, novices all the way to professionals, I am continually, um, I wouldn't say shocked or surprised, but I'm continually um, impressed with the amount of, uh, you could say, uh, ways of describing it that they have, and the way and the places that they come from in their explanation. I'm still getting like the noisiest. Hold on a second. Bear with me. I got. I gotta turn all the notifications. Um, Yes. So, so the inhale has to have the right spinal alignment. Okay. So you need to study what that is with your teacher. You need to study then what exactly is getting the low inhale. Be very careful here. There really is only one way to get it. Okay. There may be several ways to explain it. There may be. There are, perhaps. I generally stick to one or two ways to talk about it. And mine tends to be more, just because of my personality and how I like to talk about it and how I see it. I stick to more anatomically correct language for it. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. There are, I'll say again, maybe several ways to explain it, but it is the exact same anatomical action each time, okay? All right, so there's that. That's second. Then third, what also are those items that could impede the low inhale? What are those things? That list can be long. I'll give some examples. For example, let's just start with that spinal alignment. Have you thought about what your feet are doing? Do you have fallen arches? Do you have pronated, supinated feet? If you do or you don't, regardless, find out what that means, because that can affect how your ankles, knees, uh, your pelvis, hips, that entire region in the lower lumbar, those muscles at the bottom of the back, and then all the way to the top, to the neck, how all of that is aligned can be well done or not well done depending on your feet. So look into that. And if you think it's well done, great. Still look at it anyway. You should be a continual observer, a student of your own body, and therefore that of others, okay? Especially when you teach. And if you don't teach, watch others sing. Learn as much as you can and look at those aspects and see how they apply to that person's instrument. That's an impediment, how your feet are. Are there other issues in your musculature? Do you have injuries that maybe myofascial release therapy can fix? Look at all of those things. Here's something, though, that I want to point out about inhale that I see this a lot. People imagine they are creating space for the instrument by lowering this area. Like, oh, I'm going to make a bigger voice by doing this motion right with the jaw. When you do that, you're actually closing the throat. We want to not use the hyoid, these muscles here. Let's just keep it simple. We don't want to use these muscles. You don't want to move anything in the mouth as you inhale. The inhale itself, done correctly, done in this very specific way for this type of singing work, is going to craft or create the exact instrument. It's going to make the instrument space for you. You do not need to add an extra lift. I know there are going to be some people right now that be like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. That's not true. You totally have to lift the soft palate. No, you don't. Careful with nasal inhales. I'm not saying a nasal or a mouth inhale is either right or wrong. They're both fine. You just have to be careful not to alter the organic nature of the calm and low inhale. Study that. What is that? All right. So I'm not going to say more about it because that's it. I could continue, but that's in a lesson. That's in a lecture. That's a separate matter. This is just part B of the first episode, just to help round out what we were talking about, both Francesca Montanaro and I, and myself. So look at those aspects so that you can be an observer of what is happening to the building of the instrument. The instrument has to be scaffolded, has to be built before any sound can be made into it. Remember, the sound is the result of what the instrument is. So another way to say that is technique is everything that happens before sound. The majority of the sound's output is going to be in what happens before the sound is released. Imagine a bow and an arrow. Imagine any sport, really. Imagine golf. What happens to that ball is determined by everything that you do before you touch it. What happens to that arrow is determined by everything that you do before you release it. So there is no different. This is also a type of physics here. So when you are singing and you are not getting what you want out of your throat, go to the inhale. Be a not just an observer of what you're doing, but I'm talking micro focus on yourself. What are my feet doing? What are my knees doing? Is the lower part of my back, are those muscles available? Are they soft enough? Are they available to have the lowest rib pulled away from the lowest lobe of the lung so that they may fill completely, therefore making the instrument at its most optimum? Check there first. That's part one. If you do not know how to craft that, you will not know how to then build the rest of the technique on top of it. If you cannot make the same inhale every single time under your command, you do not have a technique. You have aspects, perhaps, of technique, or you have elements that make pieces of a technique possible, maybe. But you do not have a complete technique. And the whole point to be able to sing this type of music, classical vocal music, is to be able to have complete ownership of the instrument so that you can be the master of how it is used. Therefore, making it possible to make art out of it. You see? It's all about the art, of course. But we can't get to the art if we're trapped in the finite, the tightness, the inability to command and perform in the moment whatever is conjured in the artist's mind. And of course, what is already laid out in the score for you, both in its libretto, right, and in its musical writings, its harmonic and its melodic structure, not to mention all of the other markings that are on the page. Just getting that done, good luck. So you need a technique to do that. So if you're not looking at your inhale and you're trying to think about the sound and you're caught up in the aural, A-U-R-A-L, if you're caught up in the aural aspect of what you're doing, it's over. Stop. Go back to the inhale. I spend my whole days talking to young people about this, new students in the studio. They, as soon as they hear themselves singing, their mind is brought to the sound. And I'm stopping them like, no, wait, forget the sound. It was either beautiful or not. And maybe you just have a beautiful throat and you make pretty sounds. Okay, that's fine. I'm not here for that. I'm here to teach you how to master it, the instrument. Okay? So if you're already thinking about the sound, you're not with the technique. Stay with the inhale. Okay? Learn about it. This is many years long practice. I'm still learning things about it. So if you're taking a breath that is not intentional and attempting to sing, you've already missed what's possible with your instrument. And you're not getting to the art. You may think you are, but you're just scratching the surface. Okay? And the reason why I wanted to do this program is so that I can talk about what I'm crazy passionate about, okay? I'm a big nerd, right? I love this stuff so deeply. But far outside of what I love, forget me. I love that humans have the possibility to make art with sounds that come from a human instrument, right? And additionally, it's the sound is created, and then the intention is created into the expression of the line. All of it is done neurologically. So it's like a neurological and a cognitive uh, craft meeting. I mean, amazing. So spend a lot of time, spend the most time working on the inhale, the most time in studying technique is a silent and observant work. That's really what I wanted to round this up. I really wanted to get that first episode closed with that concept, that the most important work we do as classical singers is actually the quietest work. We're so judged and judgmental and overly focused, you could say, in the oral aspect of what we do. And we're very rarely paying attention to the most important aspect of the craft of the art, which is the inhale. And again, the inhale has no real sound. So stop what you're doing in the practice room, unless it's learning music. I mean, that's a separate situation. Okay, you got to learn your music. But when we're talking about technique, you can spend all day never tiring your instrument, never touching it, but perfecting it by focusing on the inhale and the way to craft the inhale. It all starts with intention, as everything does. So you have to intend to breathe a certain way. It will not just happen to you. You have to intend it. So work on what that is. Observe yourself. Observe others. Go to people's lessons. Go listen to singing. Support your colleagues. Watch the way they make mistakes. Watch the way they make triumphs. Watch all of it. And don't be judgmental in either direction, but simply be a silent observer of all of it. And then apply it to yourself and learn and grow. It's really exciting. So that's what that is, right? Inhale is the alpha, the omega of what we do. We inhale and we exhale. And in the middle of that is sound. So the breath is the life. The breath is the life of what we do. So if I can give you anything in this first episode, please respect your breath. Please respect it. Do not gloss over this work. Don't just spend 5 minutes thinking you're going to get it. I'm going to tell you right now, you're not, okay? It takes years. And of course, you'll improve right away. But we want to build deep layers so that you can become a master at it. If you have any questions, of course, you can always message me through the Facebook International School of the Voice. I'm happy to answer them. And please stay tuned for the second episode, which is going to be about the exhale, and our surprise guest for that as well. That will be announced next week. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody. Bye.